Computer, begin recording. Classification update. Species Qari. Status, potential prey. The observation deck of the UEN Pathfinder hovered in silence as Dr. Elias Carter tapped his terminal, watching the data scroll across the screen. The planet below, Xal'Nor, was a jewel of green and blue, its continents wrapped in an endless sprawl of organic cities. They don't have a military? Carter muttered, voice tight with disbelief. Commander Ava Delgado crossed her arms, staring at the planetary scans. You're telling me an interstellar civilization, one that's been spacefaring for 1,000 years, doesn't have a single defense system? Not one, Carter confirmed.
No fortifications.
No orbital weapons. Not even a standing fleet. Lieutenant Grant whistled. It's like they never even considered the possibility of war. Carter sighed. That's because they haven't. Ava turned. Explain. They evolved in absolute harmony with their environment. Carter continued, pulling up a holographic model of a Qari. The alien's tall, elegant form shimmered in soft green light, its elongated limbs designed for agility rather than brute strength. Their society is symbiotic. Every organism, every ecosystem, engineered for balance. And that's a weakness. How? They never developed competition, Carter said.
No wars. No predators.
No need for aggression. He exhaled. They don't even understand conflict the way we do. Ava's brow furrowed. So, they'd have no idea how to fight back? Grant scoffed. Fight back with what? Pacifism. Carter rubbed his temples. That's just it. They don't even think in terms of us versus them. He gestured to the streaming data. Their entire culture is built on adaptation, not resistance. If an environmental threat arises, they alter their crops. If a species struggles, they modify its ecosystem. Every problem they faced, they solved with cooperation, not conflict. Grant shook his head. So what happens if someone like, oh, I don't know, us, decides we want their planet? Ava's gaze hardened. They'd let us take it. Silence.
Jesus, Grant Visperet. Carter nodded grimly.
They don't fight. They just move. Move where? Ava asked. Anywhere we aren't. Grant leaned forward. Hold on. You're saying if we landed ships down there, started building colonies, they'd just leave? Probably. Ava exhaled sharply. That's not survival. That's extinction. Carter's voice dropped. Their entire strategy hinges on an enemy that loses interest. He looked up. Tell me, Commander, when has humanity ever lost interest? No one answered. The ship's AI interrupted. Incoming diplomatic transmission from the Qari High Council. Shall I patch it through? Ava hesitated. Let's hear what they have to say. The comms flickered, and a voice, soft, melodic, impossibly calm, filled the bridge. Travelers from Sol, welcome. We are honored to share our world with you. How may we assist in your endeavors? Grant muttered. That's not an offer. That's a surrender. Ava closed her eyes as Carter's voice became barely a whisper. They don't even realize they're being invaded. The transmission ended, leaving an uneasy quiet in its wake. In the minutes that followed, the Pathfinder's crew absorbed every byte of Qari data. The more they learned, the deeper the paradox became. The Qari civilization had developed technologies for environmental engineering, genetic biocrafts that reshaped entire ecosystems, but they had no concept of militarization or defensive stratagems. Their cultural archives spoke of a history devoted to peaceful adaptation, a symphony of cooperation with nature that spanned millennia. Ava paced the bridge, her mind awhirl with strategic calculations and moral dilemmas. Our orders are clear. We're to establish a foothold, analyze their potential for expansion, and secure resources. But if these people truly believe in harmony, what does that say about us? What do we become when we intrude on that balance? Carter's eyes, usually so steady and analytical, betrayed a hint of regret. History is littered with civilizations on the receiving end of conquest. It's not just about resources, it's about power. The Qari might be naive in military terms, but their strength lies in their unity with the planet. Disrupt that, and we're not just taking a planet, we're shattering an entire way of life. Lieutenant Grant, who had been silent since his cynical remark, now spoke with bitter humor. It's always the idealists who get steamrolled, isn't it? We come in with superior firepower and an appetite for expansion, and we end up erasing an entire culture. But I'm here to do a job, not philosophize. Ava gazed out at the swirling colors of Xal'Nor's atmosphere. Do we have a choice? She asked softly. Once we set foot here, there's no turning back. Their trust in the cosmos, their acceptance of change. If we interfere, how will they react? And what will be left of us if we do? Carter hesitated. I don't have all the answers, Commander. But the data shows a civilization unprepared for conflict, perhaps even incapable of it. The Qari will not fight back as we expect. They might simply vanish, or worse, be overwhelmed until their adaptive balance is broken. Then, the ship's sensors detected unusual fluctuations emanating from one of Xal'Nor's largest metropolises, a living city pulsing in rhythm with the planet's heartbeat. Carter zoomed in on the images, revealing spires of bioluminescent flora and crystalline waterways interwoven with organic structures. It was as if the city were alive, breathing in sync with its inhabitants. That's the Qari capital, Carter announced, awe and concern mingling in his tone. They call it Xal'Nor. Look, every building, every street seems grown rather than built. Their city is part of the ecosystem. Grant snorted. Nature-made cities. Next, they'll have schools built from living vines and defense forces composed of swarms of pollen. Ava's lips twitched into a wry smile, though her eyes remained troubled. This isn't a joke, Grant. We're looking at a society whose very identity is intertwined with nature. And if we proceed with colonization, we're not just invading a planet, we're invading a soul. As each crew member absorbed the weight of their mission, the Pathfinder, a sleek testament to human engineering, hovered like a harbinger above a world that had known nothing but evolution in symbiosis. Later that day, in the ship's conference room, the senior staff gathered around holographic maps of Xal'Nor and detailed digital recreations of Xal'Nor. Ava stood at the head of the table, her expression resolute yet conflicted. We need a plan that minimizes disruption, she began. If we insist on landing, we must do so with extreme caution. Officially, we're explorers, scientists, diplomats, not conquerors. But I worry that our intentions might be twisted by those who see only opportunity in subjugation. Carter leaned forward. I've been analyzing their genetic and sociocultural data. The Qari are not only unprepared for war, they're completely unprepared for aggression. Their instincts, honed over millennia of peaceful evolution, would see any hostile action as existential. Even a minor intrusion might trigger catastrophic consequences. Lieutenant Grant tapped his portable console. I can't help but think we're playing with fire. Look at other contact zones, we always see resistance eventually. Even if the Qari don't fight back with conventional weapons, they might unleash something we can't even imagine. A backlash from an ecosystem that defies our control. Ava's gaze hardened. Then our objective must be twofold. Establish a secure research outpost to learn more about the Qari and their environment, and send a delegation to engage directly with the Qari High Council. We must understand their perspective before making any irreversible decisions. Carter nodded slowly. Diplomacy might be our best chance. If we approach them not as conquerors but as partners, even as humble learners, they might negotiate terms that allow peaceful coexistence. But the clock is ticking. Our superiors at command are growing impatient, and factions on board demand swift, decisive action. That evening, as the ship settled into orbit and the bridge lights dimmed, Ava found herself alone on the observation deck. The mesmerizing view of Xal'Nor, an unspoiled tapestry of nature's artistry, stirred memories of her childhood on a small colony founded on ideals of peace and mutual support. Yet those ideals now clashed with the stark reality of interstellar ambition. Her encrypted comm chimed unexpectedly. With trepidation and curiosity, Ava activated a secure channel. A flurry of data packets filled her screen. A coded message that, once decrypted, revealed startling intelligence. The Qari were not as oblivious as they seemed. Deep within their archives lay evidence of an ancient confrontation, a forgotten memory of a time when their harmonious society nearly collapsed under the weight of an unknown aggressor. Ava's heart pounded. Had the Qari once faced an existential threat that forced them to embrace peace over warfare? And if so, what had become of that enemy? The implications were staggering. Humanity might be stepping into a cycle of conflict that the Qari had long ago escaped by choosing a path of non-resistance. Determined to learn more, Ava summoned Carter and Grant. Together they pored over the decrypted files. The records recounted an event known only as the Great Dissolution, a time when the ancestors of the Qari, confronted by a mysterious force from beyond their world, retreated deep into the planet's vast biosphere. In dispersing their consciousness among Xal'Nor's living tapestry, they forged a collective resilience, a living memory that could adapt and respond to threats without the need for war. "This isn't just pacifism," Carter murmured, eyes wide with dawning understanding. "It's a society that chose to merge with their environment, sacrificing the very notion of conflict. Their history is a warning to any who dare disturb that balance." Grant, his earlier cynicism softening, replied, "So if we force a confrontation, we're not just facing unarmed defenders. We're awakening something ancient and unpredictable, something that might retaliate in ways we can't foresee." Ava absorbed every word, feeling the weight of responsibility settle upon her. "We must proceed with extreme caution. Our first contact should be entirely diplomatic. Let the Qari set the terms for any future engagement. We need to earn their trust, not exploit their vulnerabilities." Over the following days, the Pathfinder's crew worked feverishly to assemble a diplomatic team. Under Ava's leadership, the delegation, equipped with language protocols refined by xenolinguists and environmental sensors calibrated to avoid ecological harm, prepared for descent toward Vialira in a shuttle designed for minimal disruption. On the eve of departure, tension aboard the Pathfinder was palpable. In the solitude of her quarters, Ava recorded a personal log. "I never imagined our journey among the stars would force us to confront the essence of our nature. Out there on Xal'Nor, I see our own contradictions reflected. A civilization thriving on unity yet imperiled by the specter of conquest. Tonight, I wonder if we have the strength to change our fate, or if we are doomed to repeat the cycles of our past." The shuttle's descent was as graceful as it was surreal, slicing through the upper atmosphere like a falling leaf. As it emerged from the cloud cover, the landscape of Vialira unfurled below, a vast, undulating city of living structures bathed in bioluminescent glow. The Qari, serene and curious, gathered along the landing zone. Their large, reflective eyes conveyed not fear but an unspoken invitation to understand. Ava stepped from the shuttle first, her boots sinking into a moss-like ground that pulsed faintly with energy. A Qari elder approached, a figure whose silvered hair and graceful bearing spoke of ancient wisdom. In a moment of telepathic communion that bypassed spoken language, the elder conveyed images of lush forests, flowing rivers, and a people interwoven with the spirit of their world. In that silent exchange, the gulf between the two civilizations narrowed, replaced by a shared recognition of life's fragile beauty. The ensuing dialogue was delicate and measured. The Qari recounted the legacy of the Great Dissolution and the sacrifices made to preserve their world's sanctity. Ava, in turn, recounted humanity's turbulent journey, a tale of ambition, conflict, and an insatiable drive to explore and conquer. Both sides listened, their words weaving a tapestry of hope, regret, and the possibility of transformation. Days turned to weeks as the diplomatic mission unfolded. Ava and her team discovered that the Qari had long foreseen the arrival of beings from the stars. Their preparations were not of brute force but embedded within their adaptive biosphere, a network of living systems capable of neutralizing invasive influences. Their approach was a testament to an ancient choice, to dissolve conflict through unity with nature rather than escalate into war. Yet beneath the surface of peaceful exchange, currents of tension persisted. Hardliners aboard the Pathfinder, emboldened by the Qari's apparent acceptance, advocated for a more assertive stance. Rumors of unsanctioned military probes and covert deployments began to circulate, threatening to undermine the fragile trust that had been built. One starlit evening, as bioluminescent mists danced over Vialira, Lieutenant Grant found himself alone with Carter on a secluded overlook. The panorama, a breathtaking vista of living forests merging with crystalline waterways, seemed to pulse with the heartbeat of Xal'Nor. "You know," Grant began in an uncharacteristically subdued tone, "I used to believe strength was measured by the size of your arsenal. But seeing this, it makes you wonder if there's a different kind of power at work, a power born of understanding and harmony with nature." Carter's eyes were fixed on the horizon. "It's a strength we've long forgotten. Our history is littered with the ruins of those who lost themselves in endless conflict. The Qari found a way to be resilient without destroying what they cherish." Their quiet conversation was abruptly shattered by a terse directive from command, orders to initiate a preliminary resource extraction protocol. As Carter read the message, his hand trembled. "They've made their decision," he whispered. Our superiors have chosen expansion over diplomacy. Grant's face darkened with a mix of resolve and dismay. Then everything we've worked for might be lost before we even begin to understand these people. The following morning, as military shuttles were readied to secure strategic outposts, Ava addressed both her delegation and the Qari dignitaries in a solemn assembly. "We stand at a crossroads," she declared. "Our arrival was meant to be a meeting of minds, a sharing of knowledge and culture. But forces beyond our control threaten to twist this encounter into conquest. I implore you, let us embrace a future where our peoples can thrive without bloodshed." For a long, heavy moment, silence reigned. The Qari elders' eyes, holding centuries of wisdom, met Ava's with an intensity that conveyed a silent pact, a promise that even amid inevitable conflict, there remained hope for understanding. But as military shuttles began their descent toward designated outposts, a faction within the human contingent mobilized covertly. Their intentions were clear. If diplomacy failed, they would seize control by force, disregarding the delicate balance the Qari had maintained for eons. In the ensuing days, skirmishes erupted at the fringes of Vialira's living borders. The Qari did not wage war in human fashion. Instead, they subtly withdrew their biotic constructs and redirected energy flows to disrupt human equipment, an adaptive resistance born of necessity rather than malice. Each encounter deepened the chasm between two worlds on the brink of irreversible change. Late one rain-laced night, as luminescent droplets cascaded over the makeshift human camp, Ava, Carter, and Grant gathered in a quiet tent. The tension was palpable. "We're losing them," Carter said, his voice heavy with sorrow. "Not just the Qari, but what we once believed in, the possibility that two very different ways of life could meet without one destroying the other." Grant's gaze was fixed on the rain-beaded canvas above. "Maybe we never really had that chance. We force our way through, addicted to conquest, while they adapt and endure." Ava's eyes burned with determination despite the gloom. "I refuse to let fear and ambition drive us to repeat the mistakes of the past. There is still a path to peace if we can convince our people that true strength lies in understanding, not domination." In secret, a small group of disillusioned officers, witnesses to the destructive consequences of unchecked expansion, began clandestine negotiations with the Qari. Beneath the towering biostructures of Vialira, in whispered meetings bathed in the soft glow of organic light, they explored an alternative future. The Qari, far from being naive pacifists, shared insights born from the crucible of the Great Dissolution, a history of transformation through surrender to life's rhythms rather than defiance. Armed with these revelations, Ava arranged a grand summit between human representatives and the Qari High Council. In a vast, living amphitheater woven from vines and ancient stone, both sides gathered beneath a dawn sky streaked with hope. For hours, delegates exchanged their histories, hopes, and fears. The human contingent, once certain of its supremacy, began to see the beauty in a civilization that had mastered coexistence. The Qari recognized that beneath humanity's veneer of conflict lay the potential for growth and transformation. To the climax of the summit, the Qari elder spoke with quiet authority. "True strength is not measured by the ability to destroy, but by the capacity to evolve. Our world is not a prize to be won, but a living entity to be nurtured. Let this meeting be the start of a new era, a union of knowledge, compassion, and mutual respect." A hushed murmur spread through the assembly. In that charged moment, hope kindled, a fragile yet persistent ember that could ignite a revolution of understanding. But even as treaties were drafted and mutual aid agreements proposed, the specter of old ambitions loomed. A final, reckless maneuver by the hardline military faction, aimed to seize a vital energy conduit deep beneath Vialira's core, threatened to unravel all progress. On a storm-lashed night, as turbulent winds battered the organic spires of the Qari capital, human and Qari forces converged at the conduit's edge. There was no clamor of battle, only the charged silence of two worlds at the brink. Stepping forward amid the tumult, Ava raised her voice above the howling wind. "This is not the way. We stand on the precipice of a future defined by unity or one written in blood. I implore you, choose the path of understanding." Her words, resonant and unwavering, broke through the tension. Hesitation rippled among the hardliners, and the Qari, ever in control of their adaptive response, signaled a retreat from further escalation. In the aftermath, a provisional accord was reached, a commitment to the concord of two worlds, a joint research initiative where human technology and Qari ecology would merge to forge a sustainable future. As the Pathfinder prepared to depart, Ava recorded one final log. Today, we witnessed both the potential for destruction and the promise of renewal. The Qari have shown us that strength lies not in the sword but in embracing change, in adapting, and in understanding that our fates are inextricably linked to the living tapestry of life. May the lessons of Xal'Nor guide us toward a future defined by unity, where peace is not merely the absence of conflict, but the presence of profound understanding. With those words, a chapter in humanity's cosmic journey closed. A chapter marked by scars of ambition, yet illuminated by the hope of redemption. As the UN Pathfinder receded into the star-speckled void, the living world of Xal'Nor continued its eternal dance. A testament to nature's resilience and a reminder that even when faced with invasion, life adapts, endures, and ultimately finds a way to thrive in the silent aftermath of confrontation. Beneath the watchful gaze of distant galaxies and the timeless rhythm of a planet that refused to be tamed, a new future began to take shape. A future not of conquest, but of dialogue where even the most disparate of beings can learn to live as one, bound together by the enduring hope that understanding may yet conquer all.